Hugh Swynnerton Thomas, Baron Thomas of Swynnerton, is an English historian and writer. He sits in the House of Lords as a crossbencher. Biography. Thomas was born the 21st of October 1931 in Windsor, England, to Hugh Whiteleg Thomas, a colonial commissioner, and his wife Marjorie Angela Augusta N.E. Swynnerton. Swynnerton Thomas was his uncle. He was educated at Sherborne School in Dorset, before taking a BA in 1951 at Queen's College, Cambridge, where he was a major scholar and is now an honorary fellow. He gained a first class in Part 1 of the History Tripos in 1952 and was president of the Cambridge Union Society in 1953. He also studied at the Sorbonne in Paris. His 1961 book The Spanish Civil War won the Somerset Maugham Award for 1965. A significantly revised and enlarged third edition was published in 1977. Cuba, or The Pursuit of Freedom, is a book of over 1,500 pages tracing the history of Cuba from Spanish colonial rule until the Cuban Revolution. Thomas is married to the Hon. Vanessa Jebb, a painter and daughter of the first acting United Nations Secretary-General Gladwin Jebb, 1st Baron Gladwin, and ambassador in Paris. They have 3 children. From 1954 to 1957, Thomas worked in the Foreign Office partly as Secretary of the British delegation to the Subcommittee of the UN Disarmament Commission. From 1966 to 1975, he was Professor of History at the University of Reading, and Chairman of the European Committee. He was then Chairman of the Centre for Policy Studies in London from 1979 to 1991, which worked for Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. He became a life peer as Baron Thomas of Swynnerton, of Notting Hill in Greater London in letters patent dated the 16th of June 1981 as a Conservative, before joining the Lib Dems in 1998. He has written pro-European political works such as Europe, The Radical Challenge, as well as histories. He is also the author of 3 novels, The World's Game, The Oxygen Age, and Clara. Works: Disarmament, The Way Ahead, Fabian Society. The Spanish Civil War, Penguin Books Limited, 2nd Revised Edition, 4th Revised Edition. A new revised edition in 2011 commemorated the book being 50 years in print. It was published in 15 languages. Cuba of the Pursuit of Freedom, revised editions. Goya, 3rd of May 1808. Europe, The Radical Challenge. John Strachey, An Unfinished History of the World, published in USA as A History of the World, then as World History, and by the original title in London with revised editions in and The Revolution on Balance, Washington, D.C., Cuban American National Foundation, 1983. Armed Truce, A History of the Beginning of the Cold War, Ever Closer Union, The Conquest of Mexico, published in USA as Conquest, Montezuma, Corte and the Fall of Old Mexico. The Slave Trade, The History of the Atlantic Slave Trade 1440 to 1870, Simon and Schuster, Who is Who of the Conquistadors. A study of those who fought for Corte. Rivers of Gold, first book of a trilogy about the Spanish Empire. Beaumarchais in Seville, ISBN 978-0-300-12103-2. Eduardo Barreros and the Recovery of Spain, a biography of Eduardo Barreros. The Golden Age, The Spanish Empire of Charles V, second book of a trilogy about the Spanish Empire, published in USA as The Golden Empire, Spain, Charles V, and the Creation of America. The World's Game, a novel. The Oxygen Age, a novel. Clara, a novel. The Suez Affair, an analysis of the Suez Crisis of 1956. World Without End, The Global Empire of Philip II, third volume of a trilogy about the Spanish Empire. Awards. Lord Thomas won the Somerset Maugham Award, the Nonino Prize, the Boccaccio Prize, the Gabaron Prize and the Carl Vosera Prize. The French government appointed him Commander of the Order of Arts and Letters in 2008, and he has received the Grand Cross of the Royal Order of Isabella the Catholic from Spain, as well as the Mexican Order of the Aztec Eagle, the Joaquin Romero Murub Prize in Seville, and the Grand Cross of the Civil Order of Alfonso X the Wise.